Hey everybody, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. 5 years ago, I had the honor of interviewing the Chief People Officer and Chief Customer Officer of Adobe, and I met this burst of positive energy, so charismatic, a leader that could change the molecules in the room. Well, fast forward a few years, and she joined Walmart as the Chief People Officer during the pandemic. She's been there 2.5 years. I'm talking about Donna Morris, the Executive Vice President and Chief People Officer for Walmart, a Fortune 1 company. Donna is a member of the executive committee. She's responsible for attracting, retaining, and developing talent for one of, if not the biggest, largest private employer. Donna has 20 years of leadership experience. She delivers innovative people solutions. She's an expert at developing and managing teams that operate in an agile way. In fact, I listened to our old podcast and I talked about her motto back then 5 years ago, which was disrupt or be disrupted. Well, she continues that energy at Walmart. And in the podcast today, we're talking about the increasingly blurring lines between employee and customer experience. We're talking about how Walmart pivoted toward digital during COVID and how sometimes your employees are the best source of customer feedback. Let's get to the interview. I hope you enjoy it. Donna, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. Of course, I had you on the show like 5 years ago, so it's so exciting to be able to talk to you about your new role.
Thank you. It's great to
anymore.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back with you, Blake. And wow, 5 years. I mean, I feel like that seems like forever ago, but really it wasn't that long ago.
It just goes by so fast. When I actually went to Adobe, I spoke to your team, I remember, and I recall the topic was the energy for influencing change, which is something that you came up with. And since you came up with that, I think about that phrase all the time, the energy for influencing change. And clearly you are somebody that has that energy. But since I've seen you, it has been a tough few years. I would love to hear how you continue to maintain that level of positive energy, even when there is some stressors out there. And obviously the world of work is much different and more challenging, arguably, than it was in the past.
Well, thank you. First off, once again, it's wonderful to be back together with you, Blake. Here at Walmart, people are at the heart of everything we do. In fact, we say people make the difference. And that starts with our associates, which is the term that we use for our employees, to actually serve our customers, whether it be in stores or clubs or here in our campus offices. And I find I get my energy from really the ability to make an impact. And there's been no shortage of opportunities to make an impact for our customers, for our communities, and really for our people. And I think the profession of human resources or people has really come into perhaps the front of most organizations now, just by virtue of the period of time we've all lived through with the pandemic and social unrest and civil unrest. And when you think about the role of employees, you have to think about who they're in service to, and that's always the end customer. And like you'll recall 5 years ago when we spent time speaking together, I've always believed that if you could really create a great environment for your employees, you'll actually get to measure that through your customers. And I think your customers know when they are dealing with an organization or an entity that really invests in their people. And so the engagement, the actual focus on lifting up associates or employees directly will impact that experience that your customers are able to experience with an organization.
Donna, in listening to a podcast that you did recently on the Bamboo HR podcast, it became really clear to me that the conversations that chief people officers like yourself are having to have are difficult. They're sticky, having to talk about uncomfortable things. I would love to know how you maintain that balance of your beliefs of caring about employee experience and also caring about business results and the bottom line, which, that pressure is real. So how do you still maintain that balance of both?
Yeah, I think ultimately it does have to start with your business. And because at the end of the day, we seek to exist because of whatever our end businesses are. And we can't be successful without the people that work for us. I think you get to an area that is equally challenging, and that's that each of us have our own personal views on a variety of topics. And companies are facing a situation today like never before, where many of societal decisions and matters are being brought to organizations to actually decide upon, as opposed to government, etc. And that's challenging because you're always going to have a spectrum of opinions, whether that be within your employee population or within your customer constituents. And I think ultimately what our roles are is to bring the options to an organization and to influence to the best of our abilities what we believe will be the best outcome to serve our employees, and then also to safeguard the assets of our business. But it's a challenge. I mean, I think all of us navigated those challenges in an effective manner through the pandemic, whether that was how do you look after the well-being of your associates? How do you think about hiring rapidly to serve the needs? How do you shift from perhaps dealing with your customer in person to dealing online or delivery or pickup? All of those required HR professionals and leaders, and here at Walmart for ourselves, to really pivot around how we attracted talent, how we developed talent, how we focused on well-being, and prioritized inclusion and creating an environment really for everyone. And that was really important.
So Donna, since you mentioned it, I'd love to talk more about how Walmart transitioned to be more of a digital retailer during COVID. Walmart actually did very well during the pandemic and had a great digital transformation that really benefited the company and the customer. Can you talk about, as you move toward health and wellness services, the marketplace, digital advertising business, like all the different businesses that Walmart has, how you continue to focus on maintaining the business now while also keeping an eye on the horizon for the future and more digital growth?
I think the exciting thing for us, Blake, is we've long believed that we had a flywheel of opportunities around our customers to serve them effectively. And to some degree, the pandemic became a catalyst for us to accelerate some of those opportunities. And so very specifically, we knew that curbside and delivery would be very, very important, but we had to expedite having a platform to make it simplified for our customers to order online, to choose whether to pick up at the store or get that delivered. Similarly, we used a technology solution to hire people quickly within 24 hours. And so we really pushed the envelope in terms of digital as it related to not only serving our customers, but also that associate experience. You mentioned some of our other growth areas. We've had a very rapid digital advertising business, which we call Walmart Connect, that grew during this period of time. Once again, using a platform of technology, but realizing that our customers and our suppliers and our partners wanted to interact differently, and we wanted to provide that opportunity. Health and wellness, we've been in the health and wellness business for many years, but the pandemic underscored the role that we played in our communities to vaccinate individuals, to test individuals, to expand our health care options, which included an actual telehealth capability. We acquired a company in that space over the last year. And for us, we step back and say, we want to fulfill our purpose, and that's to help people save money so that they can live better. And we use the pandemic as a period to really underscore how people could live better, not only in health and wellness, but also in time savings. And when you think about it, digital transformation technology can actually remove a lot of time from busy people that no longer had to go into a store, but could use an online option or a delivery option. And so I'd say that we used a very challenging period to serve our customers more effectively and to rethink our ways of working for our associates.
Donna, so many of us, we had to use digital apps to buy products. I definitely bought many diapers from Walmart online with the click of a
Thank you.
button. Yes. Oh, thank you. There are times when it's just hard to find products like certain types of diapers. It's been challenging. I have heard that in America, every person lives at least 15 minutes from a Walmart in this country. Being such a big company, being Fortune 1, being the biggest employer in the world, transitioning from chief people officer of Adobe to Walmart, that's a pretty big jump. Did you find that a lot of the strategies that you used in your former jobs were still relevant in dealing just with so many people that you're responsible for?
No, first it takes a team, right? And I feel really fortunate to work with a great team that's continued to grow and evolve. But what I found is the skills in the HR space are pretty transferable. I actually thought there'd be a steeper learning curve, and there really wasn't. And perhaps it's because personally, I've always been intellectually curious as it relates to business, and I've always had a strong understanding of the connectivity between customers and employees. And I think bringing that to Walmart, I really understood that we were a frontline business that was here to serve others and allowed me to translate really effectively to our business. And I guess what I would say is I also appreciated and acknowledged that to actually charter a course of change requires a vision. And very early on, the people team, we identified 4 strategic priorities: digital, growth, inclusion, and well-being. And they've really helped to serve us specific to what we're focused on, what we're not focused on, how we really enable the business to be successful. And I'd say some of that foundation, it benefited me from coming from a digital company because I was just used to the fact that technology can be enabled and that people truly did make the difference for any technology solution. And I've been able to find that all wrapped up here at Walmart, which has been really exciting.
So something that you mentioned is inclusion. I was looking at your LinkedIn recently at a report that you shared that I believe Walmart sponsored with McKinsey about just diversity and inclusion and some challenging statistics around upward mobility from your frontline workers. Can you just talk about what you're doing with diversity and inclusion and how you are battling some of the stigmas and the challenges that we haven't really acknowledged in the past years about upward mobility of frontline workers?
I think the most important element is how do you provide a pathway of growth and opportunity for individuals? We have a really large workforce. We're a diversified business. And if we can provide unparalleled growth opportunities for our associates, that really enables their future. We have 3 different ways that we really invest in growth. One is on the job. The best form of growth and development comes from on the job. So hiring somebody frontline that's given a mobile device, that's included job prompts, that includes information about their own personal employment with Walmart, that enables them to build connection is super important. We have an app called MeAt, which really allows people to be successful on the job. We combine that on the job training with our academies. We call it Walmart Academy, which actually provides a foundation of not just virtual learning and development, but also brick and mortar development. And then we have a great university and secondary education program in Live Better You. We today have more than 75,000 associates that are engaged somehow in that program, close to 28,000 that are more active in terms of enrollment. And really that leads to pathways, whether it would be to finish their high school education, a certificate, or a degree program. And Blake, it's pretty exciting. We've had individuals move from being working in our distribution centers front line to being transportation, big fleet drivers. Our fleet pays up to $110,000 a year. These are life-changing careers for individuals that go from hourly to salary jobs. We've had individuals that have gone from frontline jobs to working as pharmacy technicians, to being optical technicians. We've got opportunities for individuals in cybersecurity that have gone from frontline jobs to being members of our global technology team. And so if we can demonstrate an unparalleled growth opportunity within the company through investing on the job in our academy and or through Live Better You, then back to diversity, equity, and inclusion, that really opens up the pipeline. Today we estimate that we're, likely the largest employer of Black and African Americans in the country. Our percentage actually succeeds the U.S. labor market percentage. However, that same percentage is not throughout the pipeline. If that could actually be throughout the pipeline, that actually changes people's lives. It changes the economy. And I would encourage, all of your listeners to think about what role each of us can play in breaking down barriers that exist for full inclusion in the workplace. It's not where you went to school. It's what you do with whatever assets and learning that you have, and creating an environment where people can learn on the job is super important. Because as you and I both know, jobs change, and we're rapidly introducing new jobs, and jobs that people did years ago are no longer relevant. And so building a workforce and an economy that is focused around ongoing learning is, I think, paramount for all organizations.
Something I've heard you talk about, Donna, is the fact that in the last few years, we've really moved from traditional customer experience to a business world where all of your workers are basically customers. So for you, you're a customer strategist in a way, because all of your employees, 2.5 million of them, are customers. And then what about partners and gig workers? And those lines are blurring. So would you agree with me that in a way you are a chief customer officer? And if you do agree, how does that impact your strategy for the company?
Oh, I like that, Blake. I wouldn't say that I'm the chief customer officer for one key reason. I think an organization like a Walmart needs all of our top leaders to think about being the chief customer officer. And I think if we all have the lens of being a chief customer officer, then we actually do more to unlock the potential for our business. And similarly, I'd love for all of our people to think like a chief people officer, because then they'd be focused on really creating the environment that allows us to attract, engage, develop, retain the very best associates or employees. But if I step back on this notion of customers and changing the experience, to your point, our own associates, if they're not having a great online or in-store or in-club experience here at Walmart, how can we expect those that don't receive a paycheck from us to think of it as a great experience? One thing that we've done, Blake, is provided all of our frontline associates with a Walmart Plus membership, because we want them to experience what it's like to be a member. Do they find it beneficial? Is it saving them money? Is it saving them time? Do they use the gas benefit? Do they actually find that knowing how much they've saved in hours and or dollars actually changes some of their habits? Can they use it to enable ease of access to actually subscribing into items that they buy on a regular basis? And so to your point, the more you can learn from your employees about the patterns of your customers, the better. We're fortunate because we're in a consumer-driven business. Not all businesses have that proximity to a direct consumer. But I think for those of us that do have direct consumers, yes, use your employees as your ability to test what the expectations are. And to that point, our employees expect that same consumer grade experience online when they're working too. They don't want to, be at home dealing with or being able to easily go into the Walmart app and order things, and then they have to come in and they can't even find their benefit information online. So that ease of access for our employees and our customers, we have to all think about that as seamless to really drive a better experience.
So Donna, Walmart is really seen as a bellwether for the rest of the business world. When you make business decisions, everybody watches what you do. You're under a microscope. That must really create a layer of complication, I would imagine, to making internal decisions. Could you just give us a behind the scenes view of how decisions are made, even when you know that everything you do, everybody is watching? Like, does that add a layer of complication?
Well, I think the most important thing is for us to always be grounded in our values. Our values drive our decisions. And that too can be challenging because, I'll use one of our core values is respect for the individual. Well, if you're truly respecting the individual, each individual has different views and perspectives. But step one, we do actually focus on what our values are. We have a very strong executive committee that's made up of our overall CEO, Doug McMillan, who's an exceptional leader, together with the CEOs of our respective segments and the corporate functions. And on the really big, important topics, we all discuss, debate, get input. We actively listen. We listen to our associates. We listen to our customers. And ultimately, we need to be grounded in the decision that's right for our people. And when we say our people, it's for our business and our customers. But I'll be very straight with you, Blake, and your listeners. It's not easy always being number one, because you always have the biggest spotlight, and that comes with it ramifications. But for us, we can't be focused on that. We have to be focused on our own business and our own associates and what we think is right back to our values.
In a recent interview, Donna, I heard you talk about the business, much more about like the business goals, business impact than I can remember in the past when I just listened to you talk. And I know that perhaps that's part of just what you're doing at Walmart. And I just wonder, chief people officers, to me, shy away from being transparent that they are a key part of running the business. That means the business must make money. It's not always about rainbows and butterflies and feelings. So I just wanted to talk to you about any advice you have for other C-level officers that are just really trying so hard to balance that internal culture with the goal of making the business money.
Simply put, we're not in business unless we serve the mission of our respective businesses. And, frankly, if I had to compare and contrast, there's a big difference being in different businesses based on what their financial models are. We're far more margin sensitive here at Walmart than my prior experiences, which means there's even further diligence to the decisions you're making because they directly impact the bottom line. And I'm not going to say that those same decisions don't impact the bottom line at other organizations, but they don't have the same magnitude. And then it's simple math. The more associates, the more employees that you have in a company, the more the impact of any of your decisions have material impacts on the bottom line. I think for all of us in HR and then broadly C-level, your biggest expense is typically your employees. It's their salaries, all the extended benefit provisions. It's where they work. It's how they work, how they get transported to work, etc. And so I think all of us should be acute, ongoing learners and advocates for the businesses that we're in. And our roles are really to make that respective business success, whether that be in the role of a marketer or a CFO or a CHRO, chief people officer, technology officer, etc. We're all together to make the business succeed from the area, the functional expertise that we bring to the table. And perhaps now I'm more acutely aware of the business just by virtue of the environment that we're operating in as well. None of us have experienced inflationary headwinds that we're seeing now. I guess a strong benefit of all of that is we still have a very active job market for individuals. But I don't think there's a family or an individual across our country now here in the US that would not have experienced price increases over the last number of months. And that impacts people's lives. And I think for all of us in our respective areas of expertise, we have to realize that that has implications on our customers and on our employees. And so really important for us to understand what could release some of those pressures that people are experiencing at this time.
I think that's a great question back to you, actually. Like, I mean, what kinds of conversations, and we're gonna in a few minutes have some fun, but before we go to do the rapid fire, what kinds of solutions are being brought to the table, and just how to counter the thing that every retailer is suffering from today, which is just having too much inventory, raising prices, and then, obviously there's the human element that people can't afford to buy what they bought prior, and they're just slimming down what they purchase.
Well, I think for Walmart, our focus is always trying to provide everyday low prices. And that's something that we've always built a foundation on. It goes directly to our purpose of helping people save money to live better. We're going to continue to push for that. But I think separate and distinct, we need to be investing in the well-being of our associates. This is really a challenging time. Our customers come in and they're stressed. Our own associates, employees come in and they're stressed. They've filled up their car and it costs a lot more, or they're taking public transportation. And in some parts of this country, it's dangerous to be taking public transportation. So we need to be cognizant of all of the factors that influence the well-being of our associates. We look at that on three levels. What's the physical well-being? What's the financial well-being? What's emotional well-being? And we've continued to invest in all those areas. Prices are going up. We have to continue to look financially at making market investments in wages. We've continued to do that over the last year, raising our average rates. We've got to continue to talk about what's weighing heavily on people's minds, talking openly about mental health and well-being. I think that's something, Blake, in years past, people would just say, go to your employee assistance program. That's not sufficient. We have to make sure that we're open about the fact that people have mental health challenges and make sure that people know that there's resources to support them. And then ultimately, we need to role model people having boundaries, making sure that they're taking time to exercise and eat right and spend time with their friends and their family. And we're really trying to encourage all the way down to our frontline managers this focus on physical, emotional, and then financial well-being, and providing support and resources for our associates to access that accordingly as well.
Yeah, I recently heard you talk about psychological safety. I'm not sure we talked about these things in business in the past, but I think it's very refreshing that there's so much transparency, and at least we're talking about all these scary things so we can try and help people and help each other as we all try and get through this difficult time, because I think it still is difficult. But Donna, I know our audience would love to get to know you a little bit better outside of your job. So are you game to take a few rapid fire fun questions now?
Blake, I would love to take some rapid fire questions.
All right, Donna, first question. What did you eat for breakfast today?
I did not eat breakfast today. I did have some apple juice though, Blake.
All right, very honest. What's your idea of perfect happiness?
Oh boy, that's great. Doing what I really enjoy and love doing. And so in every day, I try to seek something that brings me joy. I don't believe in quantity. I believe in quality, but I think you can find moments of joy and happiness in just regular interactions with people. And that's what I try to focus upon.
What is one mental health strategy for managing hard days?
Ooh, that's great. I was going to say mental health wouldn't be going and having a piece of chocolate or something, but I think it's, for me personally, it's acknowledging that it's having a hard day, and it's acknowledging it in an open fashion and being transparent. Because frankly, in role modeling that behavior, I think it allows other people the comfort and the psychological safety to do it too. And frankly, I'm someone who is emotive. I'm passionate. I bring a lot of energy. So I can't necessarily cover up when I'm having a bad day. So I'd rather just declare it and move on. and hopefully get over it pretty quickly. And let's face it, Blake, it's been a challenging period of time for people. And I think the more that we can just all acknowledge that there's hard times, but we're all learning a lot in the process, which is really good as well.
Yeah, and you can imagine people saying, I can't even believe Donna Morris has bad days. That just makes me feel better because you seem like someone that would just never have a bad day. What is your favorite type of vacation?
Well, I would say it's any time that I get to spend with my husband and my family. And I will not lie, I love the sunshine. So if it has something to do with sun and great weather, I'm all game. I'm just back from spending some time up in the Lake Tahoe area, and it was fantastic. So it's great to be back.
I admit, I follow your Instagram and I saw a really nice photo of you on the lake. If you could have, yeah, if you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
I'm still continue to be intrigued by Oprah, so I'm going to say Oprah.
Okay, Oprah, you heard it here. And last question, if you had to describe your outlook in one quick motto, what would it be?
Be humble, be kind,
Okay.
be present.
Be humble, be kind, be present. That's great. Well, Donna, this has been so fun, and I hope you'll come back again for a third time on the Modern Customer Podcast.
I would love that, Blake, and I hope it's not 5 years from now.
Right. I hope so too. Everybody, you've been tuning in to the Modern Customer Podcast. Until next time.